What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today I wanted to showcase one of my favorite Pokemon in the Love Cup so far, which is Galarian Slowbro. This is not just any Galarian Slowbro, though. It is running Sludge Bomb as a charge move instead of running Surf or Scald, as you see many other people run. I love Sludge Bomb as a way to hit against the normal types, the water types, and basically any neutral matchup for a lot more damage than Surf ever could. And because this Pokemon is so flexible in this meta, this just adds to that flexibility even more. If you've been enjoying these videos, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton, but without further ado, let's get into the battles and see what Slowbro can do. All right, let's get into the first game of the day. Slowbro up against a Crocodile. Ironically, one of the worst matchups we could have for not having Surf, but with that said, we can still play this game if we could safe swap our Licky Licky and start chipping down this Pokemon. They aren't swapping out just yet, which likely means they don't have a hard answer to our Licky Licky right now. Body Slam ends up landing, does quite a bit of damage to them, and it does put them into a range where maybe we can deal with them later on if they do swap out. We're going to no-shield a Brick Break, it looks like. Our opponent's staying in for just a second here. I'm going to go for a Shadow Ball once this Slowbro comes in. Man, I don't know what I'm... All right, first game of the day. Slowbro up against a Crocodile. Ironically, one of the worst matchups we could have if we don't have Surf. With that said, we can safe swap our Licky Licky and see what we can do. We are a little bit AVA weak to Mud Sap with this team, but I know that Body Slam and Rollout is going to add up despite Rollout being resisted and Body Slam not being the best move in the game because of how squishy Crocodile is. Non-stab Brick Break's not going to do that much damage despite being super effective. I know it lowers my defense, so I don't want to shield that first move up, and we'll see what they end up doing. I'm over-farming to see what they want to do. They try to catch a Body Slam, but because I see that coming a mile away, instead we're going to go for the Shadow Ball and try to draw a shield or come close to knocking them out. They actually do opt to let that go. Now, if they don't throw a move, I can go for another Body Slam, maybe draw a shield from this Pokemon, or potentially win Switch advantage. Switch would be huge. We have a Lola, which would be fantastic against that Crocodile in the backline, but they did opt to shield up that attack, and now they're going to get back-to-back Brutal Swings here against our Slowbro. I'm going to shield up the first move, and then try to catch the next one on our Alomomola, because I know at this point, a Brutal Swing is going to do very little damage. If they had Sludge Bomb, it would be a little bit more threatening, but only a Brutal Swing is going to do like 20% to our health at most. We can Waterfall this down and see what their final Pokemon is going to be. In comes an Alomomola here from our opponent's side. A lot of neutral, bulky Pokemon here this game. It's going to be a very close matchup to see who can come out of this matchup on top. I know we have energy on our Slowbro. We can Psychic this Alomomola, but they are so bulky that a second Psychic is not even going to come close to knocking them out. We have to keep in mind as well, we did come into this matchup down a little bit of HP, so theirs is always going to win this mirror matchup, but we have nearly a full HP Slowbro. We have a lot of energy there too, and there's a chance that we can win this game by landing a Sludge Bomb or a Brutal Swing against that Pokemon in the backline. In comes yet another Charge Move Psychic. It's not going to quite knock us out. I'm going to swap out and try to get as much energy as I can before they can swap into their Crocodile. Sludge Bomb at this point is going to have to be enough to knock them out. It's going to be thrown. Does our opponent shield it though? They end up letting it go, hoping for a Brutal Swing bait, but after that we can farm them all the way down. Even Alomomola is a little bit too low at this point. I can farm them down and farm down their Slowbro. What is our opponent going to bring in here? They are waiting. They're thinking Alomomola does come back in, but I have a Brutal Swing ready to go. I can get to another one in just a second if they opt to shield this up. Our opponent, let's see what they're going to do. They do opt to let it go, and at this point, I can just tap my screen, win this game. All right, next game here is Skeledirge in the lead. A very, very neutral matchup. We have to keep in mind, Skeledirge is not exactly the best matchup for a Slowbro to see. Our backline is so much better into this. I want to at least get a shield, though. See if we can draw it with this Brutal Swing, and then swap out maybe catching a move on our Licky Licky. Brutal Swing does end up getting shielded. Our opponent is going to throw a charge move right now. It could be a Shadow Ball, but it could also just be a Crunch or a Disarming Voice bait. Let's see what it's going to be. Our opponent does go for the Disarming Voice, and we ended up catching a neutral charge move. Unfortunately, it would have been nice if that was a Shadow Ball, but our opponent is going to overfarm and then come in with their Scrafty. So we have to keep in mind, they do have a Shadow Ball still loaded on that Skeledirge in the backline. The Scrafty as well is going to be able to put in a lot of work with all of its charge moves. I know that Thunder Punch is super effective against Alomomola, so not exactly the easiest Pokemon to farm it down with, and our Galarian Slowbro doesn't really want to take damage from these the foul plays either, right? So this is going to be a tricky Pokemon with how much energy they're going to get from this farm down. Body Slam is going to end up landing. With that said, we do have a shield advantage here. We can probably shield this move, maybe go for a full Poison Jab down. If we can knock them out before they reach another charge move, this is going to be very good for us here. The next Poison Jab is enough to knock them out. What are they going to bring in? It could be that Skeledirge, but at this point, I think I'm going to be able to outpace them to 2 charge moves before they can get a second one off. If I shield this up, I can do 2 more Poison Jabs through a Brutal Swing, and if they shield, I can do yet another Brutal Swing after that to knock out the Skeledirge. In comes our first move. It probably won't knock them out quite yet, but the next couple Poison Jabs should be enough to put them into knockout range. They do let it go, and they bring in their final Pokemon, a Druddigon. This pick is going to be a little bit tricky for a Slowbro to see, but I know that we have enough Fast Move and Charge Move pressure. Once we can land the second Brutal Swing, we should be able to put them low enough where our little Momola in the backline should be able to deal with this. Brutal Swing is not the strongest move, but Druddigon is very squishy. They get put down all the way nearly into the red with that Poison Jab, Fast Move pressure, and Brutal Swing chunking them down. At this point, Alomomola able to survive all of these charge moves unless they get a boost. Luckily, no Night Slash boost is going to come through. Waterfalls are going to be enough to close out this game. GG's to our opponent. Next matchup, Slowbro up against a Wormadam, a very bad lead matchup. We know this matchup is going to be a much better thing for our Licky or even our Lomomola to see in the backline. The main reason I didn't want to be in this matchup with our Slowbro is because we have Poison Jab as our fast move. That being resisted by Steel is not a good place to be. Shadow Ball going to come through. Our opponent lets it go. Actually, it was a CMP as well. A very risky play from our opponent here. Luckily, though, at least our Shadow Ball didn't get caught. That was what I was so worried about here when I was throwing that move, because they did have their own Licky. If they did swap out when I threw that Shadow Ball and caught that move, that would have been absolutely devastating. With that said, we are able to see what comes in here. Licky is going to actually CMP us with a Body Slam, which honestly is exactly what we want to see here. Body Slam won't knock us out. It'll stall the switch clock long enough for us to swap out to our Slowbro and try our best to overfarm, maybe even knock them out with a charge move. With that said, they do have a Shadow Ball or an Earthquake loaded right now. It could also be a Body Slam bait. I will have to shield this up, but they go for a Shadow Ball, luckily draining a ton of energy here into our Slowbro. They go for another charge move. At this point, that was a little bit quick. That might have just been a Body Slam that we can no shield, get a lot more energy, and try to come out of this matchup with enough energy to start threatening this Wormadam when it comes back in. Just like that, in comes the Wormadam. I have two back-to-back Brutal Swings loaded. I'm very close to the third. Our opponent is going to shield up that first move, thinking maybe a Scald or a Surf, maybe even a Focus Blast could have come through, but because we only have Brutal Swing, we're going to just spam these out as much as we can and try to draw that final shield from this Worm. In comes yet another Brutal Swing here. Our opponent, are they going to shield this up? They do have to let it go. This is Poison Jab downrange, actually, which means hopefully we can win this endgame. But once again, it's a Druddigon in the backline. A very awkward Pokemon to see, because now, unlike last game, they have a lot of energy, they have a lot of health, but because we can get the Shadow Ball off, or this Body Slam rather, if we can at least get enough damage to put them into Waterfall downrange, we might still have a chance. With that said, this thing has a lot of energy. They have that shield, so I can't Psychic them. I just have to commit to Waterfalls to knock them out here. They go for a Dragon Claw, so no boost potentially from them. They didn't go for Night Slash. Night Slash does do less damage, but if they could get that 1 in 8 boost chance, it would guarantee them to win this game. With that said, next charge move is coming through. Dragon Claw, not going to be quite enough to knock us out through that shield, and in comes a Licky. This is going to be a very tight endgame. I don't know if I can win this matchup. Our opponent is throwing a charge move here. A Shadow Ball would come close to knocking us out, but Body Slam not going to knock us out quite yet. Our opponent miscalculating, thinking they could reach another Body Slam before the Waterfalls knock them out here, but now these Waterfalls are going to finish off both that Licky and Druddigon, just barely winning us this game. Next matchup, Slowbro up against a Krokorok once again. We've seen this lead already today. It's a very bad lead matchup, but we can play around it. Safe swap here with our Licky and start tripping them down if I can with our Body Slams. Rollout is not going to do a lot of damage, but these charge moves are going to spam out so quickly that I can maybe draw a shield or trip them down into a range where Slowbro could deal with it later on. In comes a charge move likely from our opponent. They're actually overfarming a lot of energy here. They would have probably gone for a Brick Break instantly if they wanted to chip us down. They actually went for a Crunch, which does do more raw damage, and then they try to catch a move here on their Slowbro. I'm going to go for the bait. This time I'm expecting them to know that I did see what came in, and they do. They shield up that move. I can go for a Body Slam once again against this Slowbro and put them into a range where I know a Brutal Swing from my own Slowbro should be enough to knock them out. Body Slam ends up landing. These switch clocks are so desynced at this point, I'm going to end up going into my own Slowbro, trying to reach a Brutal Swing of our own, and potentially building up energy to knock out that Krokorok later on. Brutal Swing does end up doing a lot of damage, but I know it does less damage than a Crunch from that Krokorok, so I will no-shield that move up, get even more energy right now. Our opponent throwing yet another one. We have so much energy right now. I go instantly for the Sludge Bomb. Does our opponent want to shield? If they do, that's going to be their final shield used this game. The Sludge Bomb ends up landing and knocking them all the way out here, which is fantastic to see. That is one of the scariest Pokemon our Slowbro could see in this entire team, and their final Pokemon going to be revealed. A fantastic Pokemon for our Lomomola in the backline. I can go for this Brutal Swing, either get a shield or chip them down into the yellow HP. They opt to shield that up, and now I can swap out here into my Lomomola. Jeez, I made a full video on this Pokemon. I still cannot pronounce it. In comes a charge move here. I will shield this up. I know it could do more damage than basically anything else remaining in this game, so we shield up that attack, try to farm them down if we can, or maybe land a Psychic if we need to against whatever is going to come in. That Slowbro is going to be swapped in. They were basically energy dry, though, when they swapped out, so Psychic is going to be able to knock them out before they can reach a charge move against us, and now just keep tapping our screen here. We can Waterfall them all the way down. Even a Shadow Ball does not knock out our Water-type fish here. In comes that Shadow Ball, and because we're so bulky, it doesn't even put us into the red. GG's to our opponent. All right, next matchup. What are we going to see? Galarian Slowbro into Medicham. Fantastic lead, especially if this is a counter Medicham. That is exactly what you want to see. Our opponent safe swaps and a Lomomola of their own. We don't have a hard answer to this, but because we have a lot of fast move pressure, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to build up energy and just get some fast move chip against them, and then swap into the mirror matchup. At this point, I'm not down energy, at least not down enough energy where I can't reach my next Psychic before their second, and because of our fast move chip damage, it basically has done enough damage to put them into a range where we always have the health lead and the energy lead here. We also have all of that energy on our Slowbro ready to go into the backline. Whatever they have, it doesn't want to take a Sludge Bomb or a Brutal Swing from our Slowbro later on, so we should be in a good spot this game. Psychic number 2 going to be thrown from our opponent. They actually end up swapping out to Medicham. They got the defense drop as well with that Psychic, which is not what I really wanted to see here, but I can reach my own Psychic before they are able to counter us down. I have a lot of energy left over on my Slowbro. We have to keep that in mind. They have a bit of HP left over as well on their Alomomola, but because we are able to land a Sludge Bomb against this Medicham, if they opt to let this go, hopefully our Licky in the backline should be in a very good spot. At this point, I am going to shield this up. A Psychic would do quite a bit of damage to us. I want to shield farm all the way down. It is just an Ice Punch, but they are not able to get a second move off. We are able to knock out Medicham, and hopefully the final Pokemon is not going to be too bad for us to see. They bring in a Wormadam. This Pokemon is going to be a little bit tricky for a Poison-type damage to do any work against, but because we have Brutal Swing as well, these charge moves are going to add up over time, potentially draw shields or chip them down into a range where even Body Slams and rollouts from our Licky should be enough to win this game. In comes yet another Brutal Swing in just a second. Do they catch it? Do they try to throw a charge move? No, they're just going for a full farm down. We might finally see a shield here, or maybe they're going to no-shield once again. What does our opponent do? They finally opt to shield. I'm going to swap out before they can get that farm down, and we'll see what move they end up throwing. I'm going to shield. I know they could get a Bug Buzz debuff, but it's pretty unlikely at this point that that's going to end up happening. I say as it happens right now. That's pretty bad for us to see, but I have a Shadow Ball ready to go against this Alomomola. At this point, I guess it's just Body Slam range. Might as well throw that as well. This should be enough to knock them out or draw a shield from them. Our opponent does opt to let it go, and now I'm going to instantly throw another charge move. This is a bait. I need to make sure I get this bait off. If they no-shield this, they might be able to win this game, but if they shield, I should be able to outpace before another Bug Buzz is going to be reached. Shadow Ball going to be thrown. This should be enough to knock out the Wormadam, just barely winning us this game. Shadow Ball, a very efficient move. Wormadam is bulky, but not bulky enough to survive it. That was a very interesting game, that Bug Buzz debuff, making things very, very spicy at the end. Next matchup, we're going to see a Slowbro into Slowbro mirror matchup here. This is a very neutral matchup. It does depend on CMP to see who wins the 0s and 1 shields. In the 2 shields, if you have 2 squishy ones, then 1 Brutal Swing, plus the charge move, or the fast pressure over time will end up knocking out as well. But normally you do need 2 charge moves to knock out both of these Slowbros. And comes the first Brutal Swing. I'm going to shield it up and see what our opponent is going to do. I want to knock this Pokemon out. I don't have a great hard counter to it in this game, so if I can get this thing out of the way early on, it should be very helpful. In comes yet another Brutal Swing. Our opponent shielding up the second one here. I think I could shield up this Brutal Swing if I want to potentially keep our Slowbro alive, but I know at this point I can survive this move anyway, and our opponent is going to end up landing that attack. I can go for the Brutal Swing of my own once again. Our opponent, though, swapping out to their own Licky, so it might be a mirror team. It might just be a different third Pokemon in the backline. It's going to be a very interesting game, though, nonetheless. I'm going to build up a bit more energy. At this point, though, I was going to get rollouted down before I could reach another Brutal Swing, so instead I will swap out here to our Licky. We have the health lead. Is it Earthquake? Is it Body Slam? What are they going to throw? Body Slam comes through. It does very little damage to us, but they have a lot of energy still left over. I'm going to throw the Body Slam once again. We do win CMP, which is pretty helpful here, but Body Slam is not going to do much damage to them once again. They will survive the next one, so they can get all of their energy off before they're going to go down. Licky throwing a Body Slam once again likely against us here. We are in Earthquake range, but I don't think they're quite at enough energy to have thrown it right now. Licky once again going to try to tank this move and get to another charge attack here in just a second. I have back-to-back Body Slams right now. Our opponent, they might have just made a catch, actually, on their Slowbro. I mean, I'm fine with that. They had a Brutal Swing loaded. At this point, this Body Slam could be enough to knock them out, which is fantastic for us. I also have a Shadow Ball loaded. If they bring in something in the backline I can Shadow Ball, we should be in a very good spot. If Licky comes in, we can go for the Body Slam and try to knock them out there. But I think that was their own Alomomola, so it is a full mirror team. We are able to land the Shadow Ball, get a decent amount of chip damage into them, and put ourselves into an advantage in the mirror matchup. We have to keep in mind, though, they do still have that Licky in the back, which could be a bit tricky to take down. And this Psychic is going to add up over time again, so see these waterfalls as well. They are resisted, but they are going to damage us into range where eventually we will be in range where Body Slam could KO our Alomomola. We don't have any HP left over on our Slowbro or on our Licky, so this is a very interesting matchup to be in. I honestly have no idea who is going to win this game. They actually tried to swap into Licky here. I know that whatever they're going to throw, unless it's a Body Slam, is going to do more damage than a Psychic or a Hydro Pump, so I will shield it up, but we can go for a full farm down before they reach another charge attack and try to reach charge boost against this Alomomola. We have a Psychic ready to go. This will likely get a knockout or a shield, depending on if our opposing trainer thinks they have a chance here. They do shield it up, but I know I'm well outside of both Psychic or Hydro Pump range. Hydro Pump does do a little bit more raw damage, but our opponent opting to try to overfarm. They don't have back-to-back moves, and they realize not quite enough to knock us out. We land the Psychic, and we can win that game. All right, next matchup here, we're going to see our Slowbro up against a Talonflame, a very neutral lead matchup, but I know I have a rollout user and a waterfall user in the backline that would much rather be here. With that said, Talon is likely going to want to shield up my first charge attack, because after 7 poison jabs, that could be a Surf. Our opponent is going to have to try to see if they want to call this Brutal Swing bait, or if they are going to let that go. They end up shielding the move, which is fantastic for us. We catch a move as well on our Alomomola. We save some energy on Slowbro, and we're going to see what they're going to bring in here. Fortunately for us, we end up bidding out a Scrafty, a Pokemon that our Licky by no means would want to face off against, but because Scrafty is so annoying in this matchup, they might even be able to go for a full farm down and put us in a very bad spot. With that said, they are going to throw a charge move against us right now. It's likely going to be a Thunder Punch. I'm going to no shield and see if our Slowbro can still win this game. In comes our Slowbro. They have energy on themselves, though. At this point, this could be a Sludge Bomb, or a Foul Play, rather. I need a Sludge Bomb to knock them out. It's a Thunder Punch bait, which is absolutely terrible to see right now, but we can knock them out here in just a second and see if the Scrafty wants to shield. If they do shield, that's fine. I am going to be able to farm them all the way down. If they no shield, that's also fine, because I can reach some charge moves up against that Talonflame in just a second here. In comes our next Brutal Swing. What is our opponent going to do? I wouldn't expect to see a shield at this point. They can survive this attack. They have seen my moveset, so they know it's not a Surf. They do opt to let that go, and they are throwing a Fly against us. Fly is going to knock us out, or a Brave Bird, I guess, would also knock us out here, but the final Pokemon is going to be revealed, and unfortunately for our Licky, it is a second Fighting-type Pokemon, a Medicham. While we do have our Shadow Ball that we could throw against them, if they don't end up shielding, okay, well, they shielded, that could be a good chance for us to win this game potentially, but they have so much energy. I think they might be able to reach 2 Dynamic Punches against us before I can reach a Shadow Ball against them. It might come down to CMP, and I don't think Licky is favored in that matchup. I know Licky can win CMP, but a lot of Medichams have a bit of attack on them. This is going to be very close. Dynamic Punch ends up coming through. The next Dynamic Punch is going to be reached on CMP. We end up losing it. Shadow Ball would have come very close, maybe even knocked them out here. I think it would have been down to the wire, but our opponent does win that CMP, knocks us out. GG's to them. Next matchup, Slowbro up against a Scizor, a Shadow Scizor. Not a great lead once again for us to see, but we can swap out to our Licky and see what they're going to do. It's actually a Fury Cutter Scizor, which is even worse for us, actually. This Pokemon is going to be able to reach charge moves a lot quicker, and because it's going to be able to outpace our Slowbro later on this game, it could be very bad. They actually go for a Chip and Dip here. They reach with their Miltank 2 Body Slams, trying to knock us out after going for a Night Slash against our Licky. We are chipped down quite a bit, but at this point, I just want to stall at the switch clock, get an energy lead if I can with our Slowbro, and maybe start winning the game with Charge and Pressure later on. In comes yet another Body Slam. Our opponent does opt to let it go. I have another Body Slam right now. Our opponent at 100 energy. They are not throwing anything. They must know at this point that I am going to swap out, and they want to stall the switch clock as much as they can once again when my Slowbro is going to be brought back into the battle. In comes likely a Thunderbolt, but it could be just Body Slam spam if they want to knock us out with as many fast moves and charges as they can. They actually swap out instantly, though, after going for that Thunderbolt into their Shadow Scizor. Very interesting matchup right now. I am going to be able to outpace the first charge move, but because Fury Cutter is such a quick attack, I know they can likely reach back-to-back moves before I can reach my next one. With that said, I do want to shield this up. If I can draw that final shield from this Pokemon, maybe my Slowbro can... Oh my goodness, that is not good. They actually opted to get a boost there. I guess it's not really a choice that they made. It's just something that the game let happen. But that is so bad for us right now. I don't know if we have any chance of winning this game. In comes another Brutal Swing. We can swap out once again, though, into our Licky. Reaches Body Slam, but they end up catching. Honestly, I guess that's fine. At least they have cleared their debuff now, or their boost, rather, on that Scizor. But this is going to be such an awkward game. They can probably come back in and Fury Cutter us all the way down if they want to. Maybe they'll reveal their third Pokemon. No, they go for that Fury Cutter down, and we don't reach another Body Slam, meaning that our little Momola likely going to be taking a Shadow Trailblaze from the Scizor. At this point, I just have to hope for a Fire type in the back. That's like the only thing I could see myself beating. Our opponent gets another boost, but I guess that's a Trailblaze. It's going to happen. Pretty much guaranteed there. And a Seeking in the backline, definitely not what we wanted to see. We can try to reach a move here on our Slowbro, but our opponent very quick on the swap. They realize that we are going to be trying to get any sort of damage that we can. They instantly throw a charge move, knocking out our Slowbro, and there is nothing that our poor little Alomomola can do to win this game. Next matchup, Slowbro up against a Miltank, a very neutral matchup here. I know, unlike the Lickys, this Pokemon doesn't have access to a one-shot move against us, either Earthquake or Shadow Ball, so as long as I can chip them down, maybe dance around this matchup, it's really not that bad for me. That said, I also know if they are staying in this lead matchup, there's a chance they're weaker to our Slowbro in the backline. I want to catch a move on our Licky and see if there's a potential way we can use our Slowbro to a little bit more use in the backline. Thunderbolt is going to come through. That's a lot of energy down the drain, and our opponent brings in a Alomomola here. This Pokemon by no means is a Licky counter, but after the amount of damage we have taken, they should be able to keep Switch this game, but I'm not really that worried. I don't want Switch necessarily. I would rather have energy lead on our own Slowbro to be able to start spamming out Sludge Bombs maybe, or just more Brutal Swings against that Miltank. Shadow Ball number 2 coming through. Our opponent is going to survive it quite easily, but our opponent also went for a CMP. That might have just been a Psychic. If this is, I think I can survive, swap out to Slowbro, and start building up even more energy. We do survive the attack. I'm going to go for a full Poison Jab down if I can. Let's see if our opponent swaps out. No, they cannot swap out just yet. We get so much energy here. We do take a little bit of damage from the fast moves. I guess I could have gone for a Sludge Bomb here, but we'll see if our opponent wants to respect this move or if they will let it go. Brutal Swing ends up going no shielded. I should have Sludge Bombed for sure there. That could have sniped down all of their remaining health and energy. energy, but because we have so much energy here, it doesn't really matter. We're just going to spam out these charge moves and see what we can do. I guess we win. They just top left anyway. GG's to them. Next matchup, we're going to see a Slowbro up against a Bewear. Once again, a very bad lead matchup. We're going to see if we can win this game, though. It's a bit of a core breaker to Slowbro plus the Licky Licky duo, but I can maybe draw a shield from them and try our best to win this game just by whittling down this Pokemon, maybe investing in Licky Licky later on. Noodle Swing is going to end up drawing a shield, and then I'm going to be able to reach another one. I try to catch the Stomp, but unfortunately our opponent overperforming way too much energy here. They have almost, I think, at this point, 100 energy. They can go for Superpower after Superpower after Superpower here. I could have gone for a Body Slam to try to draw that shield, but I didn't want to throw in bad timing. They might have tried to catch as well. Another Superpower is going to be thrown, but at this point they are debuffed, and our opponent finally making a catch on their own Galarian Slowbro. Fantastic catch by them here. This is looking very bad for us right now. Body Slam does almost nothing, but there's a chance I can reach a Shadow Ball here, maybe drawing a shield from this Pokemon. If they opt to let this go, that might be good for us, but at this point, we are in such a tricky spot. In comes the Shadow Ball. It is going to get shielded. I do have the back-to-back moves, though, here with our Brutal Swing. This could potentially get a knockout, although I think they're a little bit too healthy. I think at this point, they will survive, and they likely can get a charge move off against us. I, at this point, am going to try to shield this up and farm them down. I don't know, though. They might have enough energy to reach another charge move. At this point, though, I just want to get rid of this Pokemon if I can. Yeah, they are at back-to-back, unfortunately. Maybe a bit of a wasted shield by us, but with that said, we can still farm this down with our Alomomola and try our best to use our energy lead in the backline. Our opponent does have access to an Ariados as their final Pokemon. Not the worst case scenario, but a Trailblaze would do quite a bit of damage to us. If I can survive this move, if I can reach a Psychic against them, there is a decent chance we can win this game. Psychic is going to be thrown, but I know Ariados might be able to survive this move. If they can, this is not looking good. Psychic coming through, our opponent is going to be able to survive it just on enough health to survive the rollout down as well. This is absolutely terrible. If I could have knocked them out there, we might have had a good chance to win this game, but now down goes our Licky Licky, down goes their Ariados, but they have enough HP, I think, in the backline to win this game. It's going to be down to the wire, though. In comes that Bewear, but I think they do have a charge move loaded, actually, so yeah, there's really no chance here. I needed my Licky Licky as a catch for this superpower, but because they are able to throw it against us now, we are not going to be able to win this game. GG's to our opponent there. Let's see what we have in the next one. Galarian Slowbro up against a Talonflame once again. A very tricky lead, but we have been able to dance around it a little bit today. Let's see if we can win this one. In comes the Incinerate damage. It is adding up quite a bit, but this could be a Surf. Does our opponent realize we were running Sludge Bomb, or are they going to respect the potential super effective water type charge attack? They do shield up here, which is fantastic. Once again, going to try to catch on our Alomomola. I would love to see a Flame Charge bait here. Let's see what our opponent is going to go for. No, they go for a Fly, which I mean, that's going to be the most obvious move for them to throw, and they bring in their own Medicham to try to finish us off. Medicham does obviously have a lot of charging pressure, but because they are running the Psycho Cut Fast Attack, their fast move damage is doing very little to us. One Dynamic Punch is not going to be quite enough to knock us out, and Hydro Pump is going to be reached on CMP. At this point, I do want to get shields down. I know once shields are down, Talonflame is not going to be that big of a concern for our Slowbro, and I know at this point as well, our Alomomola is going to be able to either one-shot or get that shield from this Medicham. We are actually going to not get either of those things. We end up not knocking them out, and in comes the Talonflame here once again. This time I've learned my lesson. I'm going to go for the Sludge Bomb, try our best to knock out through the shield. Our opponent no shielding that attack up, which is exactly what we needed to see because there is a Scrafty in the backline. This Pokemon by no means is something that we want to see with our Licky Licky, but these Poison Jabs are adding up. As long as they're not on Power Up Punch, we should be able to win this game, and from the fact that they just threw a Thunder Punch there, that is a very good sign. In comes a Sludge Bomb. This might be able to get a knockout if they let it go. At this point, though, they are likely going to shield us up, but our Poison Jabs have added up so much that we are able to potentially knock them out here. No, they do actually go for a Charge Move. Might be a Thunder Punch here. It probably will be. Our opponent actually running Power Up Punch as their secondary charge move. That actually makes things a little bit dicey for us right now. If I can reach 2 Body Slams, we can win this game, but if they can knock us out before the Body Slams are going to be reached, they might just have a chance here. If we had Earthquake, this game would be over right now. They pop us, so it's not going to knock us out. I think a Thunder Punch at that point might have done a little bit more damage than a Power Up Punch, despite it being super effective, but we were able to survive just enough here, reach another Body Slam, and knock out this Scrafty. Very tricky team comp. Finally, though, being Talonflame double fighter with a team that in theory is going to lose to it basically every single time. You love to see it. Next matchup here, Slowbro up against a Medicham. A very good lead matchup for us. We're going to see what moveset they have, or if they want to stay, and they actually do swap out this time to an Alomomola. Once again, we don't have a hard answer to this, but I am going to go for a Chip and Dip this time and see how they want to play this out. I don't want to take too much fast food pressure here with these waterfalls, but I also know that just getting as much damage as I can against this thing is going to set us up for the endgame. They do throw a Psychic likely against our Alomomola. This is going to be able to do a decent chunk of damage, but after how much chip I've got with my Slowbro into this Pokemon, this matchup is going to be very good for us. They are overperforming a lot of energy. They're basically at another Psychic right now. But if they're not going to throw energy here, I think I can make a very funny play. They might expect to survive a Psychic. I'm going to go for a Hydro Pump instead. See if they shield this up. They likely won't. This is going to snipe down basically 100 energy on this Alomomola. Yeah, they just top left there after that play. GG's to them. That was a very fun game, showcasing how Hydro Pump does do a little bit more damage actually than Psychic in that mirror matchup. And Slowbro, just in general today, putting in a ton of work. We also got an Enamorous there to finish off the day, and 33-31 to finish off the day as well on a 4-1 set. Very fun stuff. Slowbro with Sludge Bomb is a very cool pick. Try it out yourself if you want to surprise your opponents. Well, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed the battles and you want to see more content like this in the future, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it a ton. And thank you again for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.